I didn't destroy my life in one loud mistake. There was no scandal, no collapse, no moment people point to and say, for most of my life I practiced a habit that never raised alarms. People praised it. They trusted me because of it. I trusted myself because of it. And now, at 74, I can finally say what that habit actually did. It didn't make me successful. It didn't make me stable. It didn't make me respected. It made me alone. Not suddenly, not dramatically, slowly. So slowly that I didn't even notice what was disappearing until there was nothing left to reach for. I told myself I was being patient. I told myself I was being responsible. I told myself I was doing what adults do. What I was really doing was postponing my life. The habit was simple. I always chose later. Later to talk, later to feel, later to listen, later to show up fully. Later felt harmless. Later felt safe. Later felt like something I could afford. I couldn't. At this age, time doesn't feel wide anymore. It feels narrow, sharp, unforgiving. I wake up early now, not because I want to, but because my body refuses to rest the way it used to. I sit alone in a quiet house and listen to sounds I once ignored. The refrigerator hums. The clock is ticking. The weight of silence settling into every room. Silence wasn't always like this. There was a time when silence felt temporary, like something that would be filled again. I was wrong. In my 20s, I believed strength meant endurance. Long days didn't scare me. I wore exhaustion proudly. I said yes automatically, even when my body wanted to say no. I told myself I was building something important, a future, security, stability. It sounded noble enough to quiet any discomfort. Life felt endless then. Years stretched out in front of me as they would never run out. I assumed there would always be time to circle back and make things right. I didn't notice how often I was absent while standing right in front of people. In my 30s, the habit became invisible. It blended into my routine. Work followed me home. Conversation shortened. I started checking the time while someone was still talking, not because I didn't care, because I always felt pulled somewhere else. I told myself it was temporary, that this was just a busy season. Things would calm down soon. They never did. There were dinners I skipped because I was tired. There were weekends I spent half present, already planning what came next. There were moments I postponed because they didn't feel urgent enough to interrupt my schedule. Nothing felt serious enough to stop. It never demands attention. It never creates conflict. It never forces a decision. It just quietly takes. Time doesn't announce when it leaves. It doesn't argue. It doesn't warn you. It just keeps moving, collecting the moments you assumed would wait. I could tell you what I was doing, but not why I was doing it anymore. People admired my discipline. They relied on me. They praised my commitment. Inside, something was thinning. I didn't think of it as a loss. I thought of it as adulthood. This was the price of responsibility. This was what stability looked like. I didn't realize I was trading presence for progress, and the exchange rate was brutal. I remember small moments now more than big achievements. The silence followed when I said I'd get to it later. Those moments didn't feel important at the time. That's why they mattered. The damage didn't arrive all at once. It accumulated quietly. Relationships didn't break, they thinned. Laughter softened into polite check-ins. Shared routines faded without explanation. Closeness didn't disappear, it just stopped growing. I assumed it would always be there, waiting for me when life slowed down. It never really did. A body that felt suddenly fragile in a way I couldn't fix. Machines humming where words used to be. There was a chair in that room. Plastic, light blue. One arm is slightly cracked. I sat in it every afternoon for a week. Each day, I told myself I would say more tomorrow. Tomorrow felt safer, less heavy. On the third day, there was a pause, not silence. A pause. The kind where something honest waits to be said. I felt it. I knew it. I opened my mouth, then closed it. I told myself it wasn't the right moment, that I didn't want to make things emotional, that there would be time later when things felt calmer. Later never came. The next time I walked into that room, the chair was still there. That was when time stopped feeling generous. I didn't want decades back. I wanted one ordinary afternoon, one more chance to sit without checking the clock, one more moment to listen without planning my next move. Some things cannot be repaired, not because you didn't care enough, but because you waited too long. Words lose their shape when spoken late. There are things you can apologize for, and then there are things you simply live with. You can't return to moments you chose comfort over honesty. Now, at 74, I have more hours in the day than I ever did before. So are many of the people I meant to return to. What remains is reflection and the kind of honesty that only comes when there's no reason left to pretend. I don't hate my younger self. He wasn't careless. He believed he was doing the right thing. He just believed there would always be time to fix what he postponed. That belief shaped everything. Waiting feels harmless. The delay feels reasonable. But time doesn't reward good intentions. It moves forward without comment, and it keeps what you give it. I misunderstood what mattered while I still had choices. What remains now isn't peace, it's clarity. I see the trades I made. I know which ones can't be undone. The time I have left is enough to tell the truth, not enough to pretend anymore. Memories surface differently now. A smell pulls me back decades. A sound reopens rooms I thought were gone. They don't arrive as lessons, they arrive as reminders of how ordinary life was while it was happening. I used to believe important moments announced themselves, that you would feel them coming, that you would know when something needed your full attention. They stop asking, they stop expecting. They protect themselves quietly. I mistook that adjustment for understanding. There is a particular sadness in realizing you were loved patiently and that patience ran out while you were still assuming it would last. Age removes excuses. Urgency loses its power. Later reveals itself for what it always was, a story told to make today easier. I walk more slowly now, not because I need to, because I want to feel where I am. Light on a wall, birds in the morning, silence that no longer feels empty. Presence never required more time. It required less distraction. People don't need perfection. They need attention. They need to feel like they mattered in the moment, not in the future you promised them. Being respected is not the same as being missed. That realization stays with me. Life isn't cruel. It's precise. It gives you exactly what you engage with. I engaged with it later. And now I live with what remains. I believe this habit was harmless. It wasn't. It took everything quietly.